I am happy to welcome all of you to this interface program. Today we have with us Dr. Jorn Rohde, His Excellency Consul General of Germany. Hello.
Hello, Professor Bashir.
Higher education of India. We would like to collaborate with the foreign universities. With regard to that, in which way German universities or higher education institutions of Germany can collaborate with us?
Professor Bashir, I am first happy to be here, and as you know, the German Consulate General is based in Bangalore. We are in Bangalore for now 4 years, and we have basically two priorities. One is trade promotion, and the other is to increase cooperation between Germany and India in higher education. Because South India especially is a center of higher education in India. You have many prestigious universities and institutes, and I have to say in the last 4 years the number of agreements between German and Karnataka and Kerala institutions of higher education has increased to almost 75 MOUs between Kerala, Karnataka universities and German ones. The young researchers, wonderful possibilities to do research here, and I also want to increase the possibilities for German researchers to come to India.
As a person who is looking outside India, the activities in higher education going on in India, you might have a good opinion about IITs and IIMs.
Yeah.
But what is your opinion about the Indian universities, about the standard of Indian universities?
You know, India has, like Germany, a vast landscape of universities. But in Germany, 95% of universities are public. So, in a way, we are, on the one hand, very similar. Your public universities have a very high standard because through the University Grants Commission, same standard is guaranteed all over the country. Of course, it varies from faculty to faculty. But I have to say, whenever I visit public universities in Karnataka or in Kerala, the standard is fairly high, and German universities are looking to increase contact. And it's fairly easy, but it's the task of the universities themselves. German universities are very autonomous, and we from the consulate only can facilitate this partnership, prospective partnership. And we have the means because we have a science advisor whose sole responsibility is to facilitate contacts. But we also have the German Academic Exchange Service, has an office within the consulate.
In which way we can make tie-ups? In the form of sending students from India to Germany, or in the form of sending teachers from India to Germany, teachers or professors from Germany to India. In which way we can make tie-ups?
I think, we are here today first to entice students to pursue a PhD or a master's in Germany. This is one possibility. But you are asking about a two-way street, and I think this is the main, and this is a sustainable way of cooperation. So I think the best way forward is if single faculties who have a special interest, who have identified German universities who are strong in this or that field, that they establish contact, and we can help you to establish contact. For example, in botany, there are several German universities which are very strong in this field, and if one of your faculty professors, deans, is interested to contact a German university, we can help you to contact this university first, and then the two have to go further. So we are mainly facilitators, and then it's very easy. There are grants available, by the German Academic Exchange Service to do that. And 75 partnerships already between Kerala, Karnataka universities speak how it works. As I said, Kannur University, Kerala University, they have already tie-ups.
Have you got any plan for spreading German language here, will you send any resource persons for teaching German language here? Will it be beneficial students of India if they study German language?
First let me say a word about Indian students in general and their ability to be proficient in several languages. All the Indians I meet, even in my office at the consulate, speak 4 or 5 languages. So language number 5 or 6 is no problem. And the Goethe Institute in Bangalore or the Goethe Center in Trivandrum and now in Kochi, they offer German language courses. We have interest by Kerala universities to teach German, to approach Dr. Syed Ibrahim, the head of the Goethe Center in Trivandrum and Kochi, to see out the possibility to establish a German language course. But I have to say, the number of Indian students in Germany at the moment is rising every year by 25%. There are 2 reasons for that. First, the most master's courses or a PhD are you can do completely in English, so you don't have to speak German. The second reason is there's no tuition fees in German universities. So the education is tuition free, also for foreigners. Both factors combined have led to an increase, and maybe a third factor is that Germany has a low birth rate. We need talent, and that's why we promote Indians to study in Germany. We have a shortage of engineers and scientists, and Indians are increasingly responsive to that.
Yeah. Then regarding tuition fees, you are very generous. You are not levying any tuition fee. But what about the study expenses there? How can our Indian students meet their expenses for studies, their stay and food and all things?
Yeah.
Do you give any fellowship for them?
So since we don't charge tuition fees, the number of scholarships, there is a number of scholarships, but when you don't charge fees, you don't need to give a scholarship to cover the fees. You have living expenses. They are about 700 euros, which is about $780 per month. But every student, whether German or Indian, can work part-time during his studies. And after graduation, let's say you do a master's or a PhD in Germany, every student is free to look for work 18 months. So it's very easy to get work permits, and we see the trend that a lot of Indian students, when they graduate, stay for some years in Germany before they might return to India or another country. So I would say it's a very cost-effective option because our labor market situation is at the moment very good, especially when it comes for engineering and science students.
What is your opinion about Indian students? How do they excel there when they reach for higher studies in Germany? What about their standard of studying? Are they studious in studies?
Yes, I mean the number of Indian students is rising, and I have seen statistics that 90% finish successfully, over 95% their master's studies successfully. Of course, the universities also have a look at their student, at their marks. Students who are not, let's say, whose marks are not sufficient, then for them, of course, like everywhere in the world, it's difficult to be accepted. But basically, Indian students are very successful, and he is not an Indian, but he's of Indian descent. The president of the German Universities Federation, his name is Professor Mukherjee. He's of Indian descent. So the number of Indians having higher positions in Germany is increasing. The new mayor of our former capital, Bonn, is also of Indian descent. The number of Indians in Germany is at the moment rising from a small base, but also the people who work permanently there.
Have you got the statistics of the students who completed the studies there and they are working there? What is their preference? Do they prefer to remain in Germany, or do they like to come back to India?
Generally, we see a growing trend of people that they, after graduation, stay. But that doesn't mean, as I said at the beginning, Indian students are highly mobile. If you have a master's or a PhD, let's say in engineering, you might work for some years at, let's say, BMW, Mercedes, or at one of the other well-known manufacturing companies. And then often these people return to India to work at a German subsidiary here, whether it's in Pune, in Bangalore, in Chennai. And we see this trend because the German companies, they are looking for talent, and a lot of the German majors in India are increasing their manpower by a lot. And if Indians who have lived in Germany, they know both cultures. They are an ideal, let's say, liaison between both cultures, and they are the perfect, let's say, recruits for these companies. So I know a lot of Indians in Bangalore who have studied in Germany, worked there for some years, come back to Bangalore or going to Pune.
The new trend is to mold the students of higher education who are able to employ as per the need of the industry. The industry decides which kind of products should come out of the higher education institutions. Keeping this in mind, in what recommendation you can give for the higher education institutions of India to make the higher education students of India able to work in the industries in Germany?
I mean, let me say first a very general remark. I believe in the freedom of choice. So first, you should study what you want. And when you study what you want, where your interests lie, you will excel, because there's your passion. You should not study because of employment, prospective employment. You know, if you study what you want, you are good in it. I believe it myself. And the advantage...
But the problem is that now there are many people with good certificates, but they are not employable in the industries. Yeah. And industry need many skilled persons. Yeah. Such kind of persons are not available in the market, job market.
Yes, you have touched a point here. And I would argue that is one of the reasons why the German education system is attractive. Because you take engineering or you take science studies. The German system is very practically oriented. There is no German engineering student who hasn't done at least 3 internships. So, you know, we have this dual education system or vocational training system for the technical stuff. So when you become a plumber or an electrician or a nurse, everything has a 3-year training, and 70% of the training takes place in the company. For an engineering student, even in the first semester, he has to do an internship as a company. So when a German engineering student leaves the university, he knows industrial reality. He is readily employable. And sometimes there's a challenge at Indian universities that the engineering graduates are finishing, but they have never seen a factory from inside. So we have here a very strong, I would say, selling point. And German companies in India often tell me we need half a year or 3/4 of the year to make the person who is very bright employable. And a German graduate, of course, needs also to be trained for the needs of the company, but it doesn't take a year or half a year. It takes 1 or 2 months. So here we are often in tie-ups. German universities help Indian universities to make the studies more practical, or to find companies where the students can pursue internships.
Okay. As a developing country, what is your opinion about India? In which kind of research we have to concentrate here in India?
You know, that's a difficult question. Is research only should it fulfill the short-term needs? I believe you need both. You need fundamental research without a short-term outlook, because sometimes you don't know where your research leads to, but you also need applied research. So I would argue in Germany we follow both. You have the fundamental research, Max Planck institutes, they are world-leading fundamental researchers. Then you have applied research at the Fraunhofer institutes. So there's a very strong connection of industry and academia. So take the head of the physics department at the University of Hamburg, for example. He might also be head of the Fraunhofer Institute for Material Sciences. In that capacity, he will be asked by Airbus to do research on this and that. So Fraunhofer has 23,000 scientists, among them 19,000 in Germany. So you need both. You need the fundamental research, which needs to be funded by government, and you need applied research. In Germany, 30% of research is funded by the government, but 70% is done by industry. So that is a traditional, let's say, setup, and has proven very successful because I would argue in a lot of fields German research is top-notch.
Okay. Suppose if you plan to support India for a major research project, any one of the institutions in India, and which one will be opted by you?
You know, it would never be, let's say, selected, of course, by a German consulate. It is always an Indian. We have a lot of Indian research institutes, or universities, who have tie-ups with German universities, and then they apply for grants with the German Research Council. They have an office in Delhi through the EU. And I think it always depends on the faculties, how they formulate their requests. And the numbers of research projects from India is actually growing. And in Bangalore, I have more and more German researchers. Like as of this year, the German Academic Exchange Service will have a professor of polymer science based in Bangalore for 2 years. So the traditional, I would say, one-way street, Indians going abroad, is turning into a two-way street. Okay. Because the level of research, the quality, is very high in a lot of fields.
In which area you support research more? In science or in social science, language, or any other area? Which area do you prefer to give support, extend your support to Indian institutions?
I mean, but this comes from also from Indian institutions. There's a lot of focus on engineering and science, and I really want to underline that if you have good projects in humanities, social sciences, there are funds available. But 90% of all students from India are in the science or researchers and engineering fields. So from India, there seems to be a clear focus on these subjects. But, you know, if there is a research project Germany has a strong tradition in Sanskrit, for example. You know, we fund projects in Sanskrit. If the university where it comes from, has a good project, I think there's no problem. And I think it's very important to keep an open mind and to be interdisciplinary often.
What about the preservation of manuscripts in India? What is your idea about that?
Mm-hmm. I was last year at the University of Kerala, where they have very old a library with a lot of Sanskrit, Vedic inscriptions on palm leaves. And we were in preliminary talks to help preserve that. So if the University of Calicut has a project where you need to preserve old scripts, we have funds for that. In my first posting in Jakarta, I helped, we had a big project with the university in Jakarta to preserve old scripts. So we are open to business for that. There are funds available.
And most of the Indian students are not aware of the facilities which are extended by the German people, German universities. Mm-hmm. And no doubt these deliberations will be helpful for the Indian students for pursuing their higher studies in Germany.
Mm-hmm. I mean, nowadays everybody is online, and I would entice all interested faculty students to visit the DAAD website, or if you put in studyingermany.de, then you find all the information about all the subjects, the universities to study there. You also find information about how to organize daily life, you know, and because, as I said at the beginning, we want foreign talent. Germany's only natural resource is its people. So we invest a lot in education, and we believe that education is our greatest asset. And we also want, in a global world, we want to cooperate, and that's why we need highly qualified students, and India has a lot of highly qualified talent.
Yeah. We are happy to know that Indian students have possibilities there in Germany. But we as Indians, we wish that very majority of students will be able to go to Germany. And we want to bring foreign students here also, foreign students as well as foreign teachers. When they come here, the exposure will be open to all the students. So, what is your opinion about sending your students and teachers to India?
I mean, I totally agree with you. The way forward is a two-way street. And as I said at the beginning, increasingly we witness that. All these university agreements I mentioned, they all contain an element where German faculty or German students spend a semester or at least some months at Indian universities. But the main point is it should be because it should be organized on a faculty by faculty basis, because, you know, if you have, let's say, Arabic or botany faculty who has a tie-up with a German university, that's the best way, because they can really tailor-made a program, you know, 5 months here and 5 months there. All the successful exchange agreements I have seen are between different departments of universities.
What is your opinion about promoting online courses, online programs through universities?
I mean, you know, the way you teach is vastly changing, and also German universities are offering that venue. But whether this or that university is offering this, you should really check with the university itself. And as I said, if you visit the website Study in Germany, DE, you can see how far this specific institution has ventured into this area.
As a person working in India, as Consul General of India to Germany in India, you are talking about Indian collaboration with Germany. And we would like to know German collaboration with the other countries, any other countries. Is there any collaboration?
Of course, I mean, Germany is a country in the center of Europe, and we have 9 neighbors. And of course, it's natural that most German universities, when they first had foreign collaboration, you know, it was neighboring countries. And the EU has a program which is called Erasmus. So most German students spend, I would say 40% now, spend at least 1 year or half a year abroad during their studies. My own son, for example, he will go to France in the fall of this year. France is a big destination for German students. It has language reasons to learn the language, and is likewise for Indian universities. In India, the university language is English, so you have a traditional bond with English-speaking countries. But since German universities now offer English courses, especially on the master's level, thousands of different courses, that's why we see this vast increase. Also, we see the vast increase in cooperation. Also, the increase in interest by German universities. I think, I would say the sky is the limit, and the numbers, the increase every year is very encouraging.
We are very happy to hear you. Thank you very much for your valuable advice.
Thank you, Professor Bashir.